إن سألتم عن إلهي فهو الرحمن الرحيم.
What is your position on Yakjuj and Makjuj? Do you believe these are people from Bani Adam that will come towards the end of time and that they are somewhere in the core of the earth? They're trying to get out, but one day they will say, Inshallah, and then they will get through, and then they will rampage madness towards the end of times? Or do you believe this is a group of people from Bani Adam who have already come and gone or are currently here?
I would like to believe that I'm a serious student of knowledge, and hence I don't have patience for nonsense. And at this age, when I'm past the age of 80, and I have been teaching and lecturing on the subject of Gog and Magog for 25 years now, I have made absolutely no headway at all. I've not been able to convince any scholar of Islam. So I am a solitary voice, so I can be excused if I sometimes show a bit of impatience and sometimes even anger. I recognize the Quran as absolute truth. And so if I want to study Gog and Magog, I go to the Quran. And when I go to the Quran tells me that Gog and Magog are human beings. That they're human beings who have been created by Allah with extraordinary power. But that their power rests on foundations which are essentially godless, and they use power to oppress. That they will be released into the earth, into the world, at a point in time in history. They were checkmated, that's the best word I can use, by Zulkarnain. And the world was safe from them. But that was thousands of years ago in Surah Al-Kahf of the Quran. But that one day they will be released. And when they are released from behind a barrier built, then the Quran tells us, and that's where I go first for knowledge, that they will then spread out in all directions. And hence, with just 5 rupees worth of common sense, that's all you need. 5 rupees worth of common sense. That if these are a people with such power, that even Zulkarnain could not fight them and defeat them, but had to contain them. That when they are released into the world and they spread out in all directions, it takes just 5 rupees worth of common sense that they'll take control of power in the world. And this, I speak slowly now, and this is an event which will occur only once in history. So if this has come and gone and you don't recognize it, you should go back to school.
If I or any of our viewers fall into that category of not having 5 rupees worth, could you at least enlighten us to tell us what that event was?
The Quran goes on to say that when they have spread out all over the world, and then with 5 rupees worth of common sense, that's all. Don't ask me, show me the hadith. Because I said that's the door, leave and don't come back. When they spread out all over the world and they take control of power in the world, The Quran tells us, this is the Quran speaking, that they will bring a people back to a town. A town had been destroyed by Allah. This is Surah Al-Anbiya of the Quran. The people have been expelled from that town. This is Surah Al-Anbiya of the Quran. Allah has placed a ban on them. They could never return to that town to reclaim it as their own. This is Surah Al-Anbiya of the Quran. They will never be able to return to that town until Gog and Magog have been released and are spread out all over the world. So which is that town? That's the question. Which town is it? Your Darul Uloom says you mustn't ask that question. But my model of scholarship is different. Which town is it? I must find out. And in order to find out which town is it, I have to search to see which town is connected with Gog and Magog. And when I do that, it's very plain and clear. Our Prophet, Allah's blessings be upon him, has said that Gog and Magog will be destroyed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Jerusalem. And so I say, you can say what you want. I say that the town is Jerusalem. I'm confident that I'm correct. And Dr. Muhammad Iqbal came to that same conclusion, and my own teacher, Maulana Dr. Muhammad Fadl Rahman Ansari, these were not schoolboys. These were real scholars. He also came to the conclusion that the town was Jerusalem, and I came to that conclusion. And hence the Quran is telling us, the Quran is telling us that Allah destroyed Jerusalem. The Quran is telling us that Allah expelled the Israelite people from Jerusalem. The Quran is telling us that Allah placed a ban on them, that they could never return to Jerusalem to reclaim it as their own until Gog and Magog have been released, and they are spread out all over the world. And then with 5 rupees worth of common sense, they have taken control of power in the world. And as I said to you earlier, this is an event which will occur only once in history. And if it has come and gone and you cannot recognize it, then go back to school. So the Quran is telling us that when the Jews have been brought back to Jerusalem, after how long? 2,000 years. When the Jews have been brought back to Jerusalem to reclaim it as their own, which is at the heart of what is happening now in Gaza. Let me repeat that. Which is at the very heart of what is unfolding in Gaza. When the Jews have been brought back to Jerusalem to reclaim it as their own, has that happened as yet?
It's in the process.
The Jews that came back to Jerusalem to reclaim it as their own and establish their own state in 1948. That's a long time ago. So the answer is yes. The Jews are back in Jerusalem and they reclaimed it as their own. The answer is yes.
Do they want that?
So who brought them back? If you could answer that question, you'll identify Gog and Magog. Who brought them back? The answer is modern Western civilization, and Russia is not a part of modern Western civilization. Modern Western civilization brought them back, and therefore I came to the conclusion, and Allah knows best, that Gog and Magog are those who control power in the modern West.
أو سألتم عن نبي فهو إنسان عظيم